Hi, I'm Claire. I might not be Carla Zeus, but this is an exciting edition of CNN Student News.
Well, I am Carla Zeus, and we thank Claire for her intro and look forward to yours. Welcome to today's program on this Wednesday, October 20th. Investigators are looking into all possibilities as to why someone started shooting at the Pentagon early on Tuesday morning. Just before 5 a.m., Pentagon police and some construction workers in the area heard at least 5 shots fired. Bullet parts were found on the south side of the building, but no one was hurt. That part of the Pentagon was empty at the time, and the windows are bulletproof. Here you see part of Interstate 395 shut down, officers fanning out in the investigation. The road runs along the south side of the Pentagon. A police director says they're not sure who fired the shots, though they probably came from a rifle. Officials think this was just a random thing that happened. The Pentagon is the headquarters of the U.S. Defense Department. While we're on the subject of security, the holiday season's coming up, and airline travelers might notice something different when they buy their tickets. They'll have to give some extra info, like their birth dates, before they can print up their boarding passes. It's part of Secure Flight. It's a new government plan to increase security in the skies. Jean Meserve shows us who's looking at the extra info we provide and what Secure Flight is supposed to do.
At a secure location shown exclusively to CNN, computers and analysts search out known terrorists trying to board airplanes.
Ultimately, we're going to be looking at, 2.1 to 2.2 million records a day that go through the system.
The program called Secure Flight matches passenger information against government watch lists. Known terrorists on the no-fly list won't get a boarding pass. Those on the so-called selectee list will get extra screening. When you buy a plane ticket now, you have to put in your name just the way it appears on your government ID, your gender, and your date of birth. That additional information will help the government determine who is a known terrorist and who is not. And prevent screw-ups like misidentifying the late Senator Ted Kennedy as a possible terrorist. It should also close gaps like the one exposed when Faisal Shahzad, the Times Square bomber, nearly escaped because an airline hadn't updated its no-fly list.
But of course, Secure Flight isn't perfect. An aviation security expert says it'll only look at the names of known terrorists. The problem is, terrorist attacks aren't always attempted by people the U.S. government is familiar with. So even if this new system had been in place 9 years ago, it still wouldn't have caught Mohammed Atta, one of the September 11th hijackers.
Today's shout out goes out to Mr. Blessing's social studies classes at Union County High School in Liberty, Indiana. Which country has the most internet users? Is it China, India, U.S., or South Korea? 3 seconds and go. China has both the world's largest population and the highest number of people online. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
But worldwide, 2 billion people, about 30% of the planet's population, are expected to be online by the end of 2010. And in just the last 5 years, the number of people online worldwide has doubled. The International Telecommunication Union came out with this report. It also looks at the gap between developed countries and poorer countries. For example, in Europe, roughly 65% of people are online. In Africa, it's fewer than 10%. The International Telecommunication Union is an agency of the United Nations. It says that the key to continued growth, getting more people online, is speed, access to broadband internet. Though 30% of the world will be online by year's end, it estimates, only 8% will have broadband access. Thieves are costing us honest shoppers. Britain's Center for Retail Research says the average American family is shelling out an extra $423 this year, and this is why, in 2010, stores will have lost an estimated $40 billion in merchandise to thieves. So they're spending more on security to protect their stuff. When their costs go up, so do ours, because they have to charge more to keep making profits. It's not quite as bad as it was last year, but Americans are still paying more on average than the rest of the world does for this sort of thing. And the report says the biggest problem isn't shoplifting or employee theft, It's organized crime when a group of people steals large amounts of jeans or baby food, for example, and then resells that at a profit.
Time for a shout-out extra credit. Which story made headlines exactly 6 months ago? Was it oil rig explodes in Gulf? 33 miners trapped in Chile? Last U.S. shuttle mission launches? Or last U.S. combat brigade leaves Iraq? Ready, set, go. On April 20th, the Deepwater Horizon oil rig exploded in the Gulf of Mexico. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out extra credit.
Well, it was more than 3 months before the oil spill that followed was finally sealed up. It was the worst spill in American history. We remember a lot of you writing in our blog that your hearts went out to the families affected and to the animals affected. I remember a lot of you talking about that. And what you might not have heard too much about was the rescue of marine animals. But thanks to Rob Marciano, you're going to hear about it right this second.
They smell. I first visited bird rehab centers back in mid-June. There was frantic shuffling of rescued pelicans, cleaning oiled feathers, medically treating the sick. Here you go. And feeding the weak. It's a different scene now.
It already smells better in here.
Over 800 rescue birds moved through this facility, and more than 2,000 were treated from Louisiana to Florida during the last 6 months.
The fact that it's empty is a huge sign of success and makes us very happy.
So this is where there were birds just very recently?
This morning.
This morning there were birds in
The
here.
birds were released out of here.
That's huge. The last of the BP-affected birds finally returned to the wild.
When they go out and I see them fly out of those kennels, that's when you see me smile. That's when I'm happiest.
Come on, guys.
I know the feeling. 4 months ago, I got to release some pelicans in Texas.
Absolutely spectacular.
But the sober fact remains, over 6,000 birds were found dead since the spill, and other animals are still fighting for their lives.
My God, look at the size of that turtle. Come on, Big Mama.
Big Mama tips the scales at 220.
Want some shrimp?
This wounded loggerhead is one of 21 turtles still recovering at the Institute for Marine Mammal Studies in Mississippi.
This is one of the Kempsridley affected by the oil spill, and it's important that every couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months, depending on the how sick the animal is, to get a check on their blood, see how the oil's affected them.
Marine vets check his heart and lungs, too.
I wanted to look inside the mouth and make sure.
This guy is recovering from swallowing a fishing hook, likely forced from his normal habitat by the oil slick.
Back in the tank he goes.
But not back into the wild, not yet.
We have to overwinter them, keep them in optimal temperatures, and make sure that they're exercised, they're treated properly, so when they're released, they can go and fend for themselves.
For now, it's kitty time in the pool.
Right there, perfect. Just let him go.
A safe training spot so that one day they'll get back into the Gulf.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, blast off!
Kids counting down an iPhone's journey into space. Their father, a resident of Brooklyn, New York, put the phone in a takeout box and then hooked it up to a weather balloon and let the thing go. And man, it went 19 miles up, about 100,000 feet, showing the curve of the Earth, the darkness of space. When the balloon finally burst, the phone fell back down to Earth, its fall cushioned by a parachute. Amazingly, it landed only 30 miles from the launch site, and the phone's GPS told the father where to find it. Part of the reason we like that story so much is because it's accessible to us. A lot of us have smartphones or phones with video, and we could probably acquire a weather balloon somehow. The only thing is, it could get kind of expensive having to get a new phone if the GPS doesn't work out. Hard to top a story like that in a Before We Go segment, but we're going to try. This comes close. Visiting team, they're the ones in white. They were down 7 points, less than 2 seconds to go in the game, so this was it. They got the kickoff, and then they started passing around the ball. They passed it around and around. One guy fumbled it there, you saw. Another one picked it up, and they just kept it going. Now, whenever you think this play is over, it's not. And though you see the other team rushing the field, the visitors kept the play going. They took the ball, ran it all the way to the end zone, and then they went for 2 points and wound up winning the game. It was a rare example of advancement from a lateral move. And we're going to punt it back to you for now, taking a hike until tomorrow. But fill those bleachers again because Thursday's show will be head and shoulder pads above the competition. I'm Carl Aziz. We're looking forward to seeing you soon. Bye now.